Hey guys, it's Kat. It's been a while. Sorry about that. Yeah, school's been a little bit crazy, but now that it's summer and I have time, I might do a few more of these. Hopefully I want to, but we'll see. But anyway, happy Pride Month! I did my nails up all nice, though they're starting to chip off, but that's fine. And I thought now would be an appropriate time to talk about something that's very, very near and dear to my heart, and it weighs on me a lot, I think. It's a very important issue for me. So to start this off, there are two things that you need to know about me, if you don't already. First and foremost, I am asexual. That means I don't feel sexual attraction to anyone, regardless of gender. So, not straight. Woo. And second of all, I am Christian. Methodist, to be more precise. And that, I might talk about that a little later, because, well, no, let's talk about that right now. My denomination has been torn recently with there's been this whole thing about, well, do we allow people, pastors, to be homosexual and still be preachers? And it was decided that no, we aren't going to allow that, but it was by a very, very, very tiny margin, and there was a lot of struggle there, and it was not an easily made decision, and one of my pastors said it better than I could. A lot of people were praying about this and over it, and they were desperate to find the right solution. So the right answer was not there, because if it was, it would have won by a landslide, and it didn't. So I think this is a thing that we're just going to have to keep wrestling with and keep working on, because this isn't going to work for very long, because we're not changing anything. We're just kind of all that this decision did was it kind of homogenized the punishments for people being gay and doing gay marriages and all that kind of stuff, and it's gonna keep being a problem, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, this is a subject that's very important to me, because as part of the LGBTQIA plus community, the A does not stand for allies. Sorry, it stands for asexual. We're here. Hi. But as part of that community, I am part of this. This is a problem that affects me personally. It's not just I approve of those people or I don't approve. This is a thing about self-identity and self-acceptance, and I think that's important to talk about and important to work through. So there are those Bible verses that people always use every single time homosexuality is brought up, or any type of sexuality that isn't straight. You guys have probably heard them before, but if not, I will read a couple of them. I found two in Leviticus. Yay, don't you just love Leviticus? Leviticus 18:22. Do not have sexual relations with a man as one does with a woman, that is detestable. And Leviticus 20:13. If a man has sexual relations with a man as one does with a woman, both of them have done what is detestable. They are to be put to death. Their blood will be on their own heads. Yay. So I have to balance that. But see, here's the problem. I can't do that. There's this whole thing that people say about hate the sin, love the sinner. And, I mean, that's great in theory, but what do you do when the sin is something that's a deep-seated, integral part of who the person is? You can't hate the sin and love the sinner if what you're calling a sin is part of them. That just leads to self-hatred and just all hatred all around, and it's awful. And, well, again, I'd like to point out that this is Leviticus. If none of you have ever actually read through Leviticus, don't. I mean, maybe you should at one point, but it's like, I decided once that I was going to read straight through the Bible. I was going to be good about that. And I started reading, and it was great and dandy, and I went right straight through Genesis and Exodus, and then I hit Leviticus like a brick wall, because Leviticus is nothing but lists of rules. There is like a whole chapter on what to do with mold in your house. If it's this specific type of mold, you have to do this. If it's a mildew, you have to do this. And it's just like, I don't care. But, see, that's my point. This is the law. This is why the Israelites were obsessed with rules, and why there were so many. Leviticus is nothing but rules. And most of these rules we ignore today. Even Christians, we totally ignore them. Like, give me a minute. For example, the first 7 chapters are on what to do with burnt offerings to God, and we don't do that anymore. You're also not allowed to eat fat. And then Leviticus 11, you are not allowed to eat pigs or rabbits. You're not allowed to eat lobster, crab, crayfish, pretty much of all the creatures living in the water of the seas and the streams, you may eat any that have fins and scales. But all creatures in the seas or streams that do not have fins and scales, you are to regard as unclean. That was Leviticus 11, 9 through 10. Yeah, no seafood, except fish. Yeah, I know you've all eaten shrimp at least once. Or lobster, or something. Some kind of seafood that's not fish. And according to Leviticus 15, when a woman has her period, anyone who touches her will be unclean until evening. And anybody who has sexual relations with her while she's on her period will be unclean for 7 days, and any bed they lie on will be unclean, and basically anything the woman touches will be unclean. We don't really observe that anymore. And just to give you one more example, Leviticus 19:19. Do not wear clothing woven of 2 kinds of material. How many of us have everything in our closet is 100% one thing? I don't think that's true of anyone. My point is, Leviticus had a lot of rules, trying to keep the Israelites safe and healthy and not in danger of getting food poisoning or doing really stupid stuff. But most of that we don't need to really listen to anymore, because we've got refrigerators now and better outlooks on things. We're not stoning people to death is kind of my point. So why, out of everything in this chapter, do we keep that one? that one specific rule. Oh, it's fine to have clothing of 2 different types of materials. It's fine to not have a priest come and cleanse your house if it has mold in it. It's fine to not give offerings anymore. It's fine to be around a woman on her period, but it's not okay to be gay. And that doesn't sit right with me. And you know what else doesn't sit right with me? That whole God hates gay people argument. That doesn't feel right. Because I'd like to read a couple more verses. Romans 13:8. Let no debt remain outstanding except the continuing debt to love one another, for whoever loves others has fulfilled the law. John 13:34, Jesus is speaking. A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. Ephesians 4:2, be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Deuteronomy 10:12, going back to the Old Testament here. And now, Israel, what does the Lord your God ask of you but to fear the Lord your God, to walk in obedience to him, to love him, and to serve the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul? And finally, Micah 6:8, he has shown you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. God wants us to love each other, totally, unconditionally, as we are supposed to love each other as he loves us. And I just can't imagine that this God, the God I love and worship, this God who has been described as being love, I can't imagine him hating anyone. And if he does, then I don't want anything to do with him, because if he hates them, why, he would hate me too. Because I've sinned. I know I've sinned. I've probably sinned today. And it's only 2 in the afternoon. I am by no means perfect. So if he hates them, why wouldn't he hate me too? And that's not... I can't follow a God like that. I don't believe God is like that. I believe God is a loving God who loves everyone and wants us to be happy, and we are made in his image. We aren't made to be something that's wrong. So I don't think that God would put people on this earth who are gay if being gay is so bad. That just doesn't seem right. He requires us to love justice and mercy and to walk humbly with him, and there's no mention of sexuality in there. There's no mention of who you are, what you've done. It's just love and mercy and justice, and that's it. And what's happening to LGBT plus people out there is not mercy, and it is not justice. It is not humble, and it isn't love. And that violates every single thing that God has ever told me about people. We are supposed to set an example. We are supposed to love people. And I can't understand why people don't get that. It's said again and again and again and again and again in the Bible, you are supposed to love people. Doesn't matter what they've done. We're supposed to love serial killers. We're supposed to love people that we would consider scum of the earth. People that have done horrible things. So why can't we seem to grasp that we're supposed to love everyone? Some friends that I've made at school, some of my best friends there are bi. And it's like, they're wonderful people. They're kind and talented, and they're amazing people, and I love hanging out with them. And you want me to hate them? For something they can't control? For being who they are and being happy with that? I can't do that. And I won't. I'm gonna love them. I'm gonna love everyone in my community. No matter what community I find myself in, no matter where I am, I'm going to love people. Because that is my job. That is my God-given job. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna love people. Because they will know that we are Christians by our love. Because when I look at people holding signs that says God hates you because you're gay, and people screaming at other people about you're going to go to hell, I don't see Christians. I see hate-filled people who are very sadly mistaken. That's all I can see. It's just sad. It makes me so sad. Because they don't get it. They don't know God. Because that's... I don't have that one looked up right now, but that's in one of the Gospels, I think. If you don't know love, if you don't love your fellow humans, you don't know God, because God is love. And if you don't have love, you don't know him. And that's so sad to me. And I really think that's what Jesus was talking about when he said, someday you're going to stand before me and I'll say, I don't know you. So, let's be a light in the dark times that are coming towards us. There's so many bad things happening and so much hate in this world. And I am going to strive to be a light. And a good Christian filled with acceptance and hope and truth and love. And that's where I stand. So, I'd love it if you guys would stand with me. See you guys later. Bye.